Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. She was an actress, a dancer, a film major, and a music video producer before she was a lawyer. So when Stephanie Adwar of Adwar Ivko talks about what AI is doing to the entertainment industry, she's not speaking from the outside looking in. She's speaking as someone who has lived on both sides of that world for 30 years. In this episode, Stephanie delivers one of the most wide-ranging and honest conversations this podcast has had. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, the copyright implications of AI-generated art, the Judge Rakoff ruling that should terrify anyone using public AI tools for confidential legal work, and why she still believes deeply that human creativity is worth protecting. She also shares exactly how her firm is using AI right now to work faster and serve clients better, and why she went to CES in Las Vegas just to see where things are heading. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO, and today I'm joined by Stephanie Adwar of Adwar Ivko, just having survived our Northeast snowpocalypse here. So, Stephanie, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Happy to be out and about.
Yes. Yes, we were just talking about the precarious conditions trying to get in, but I'm glad you did. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your firm, and what you do from a high level.
Okay, so Adwar Ivko is an entertainment, art, and intellectual property law firm. We handle both transactional and litigation matters for our clients. We also handle the surrounding corporate employment, anything that has to do really is tied up with entertainment and art and intellectual property law. Intellectual property law being trademark, copyright, and patent. Our firm handles patent as well. Um, the firm was founded a little over 2 years ago now. Prior to this, I was a partner with my father, Philip Fergang, and in a firm called Fergang and Adwar, and we were partners for 26 years. Um, I worked for him as straight out of law school, and we became partners, and we worked together very well for a long time. But when he started to slow down, and decided that he was going to eventually retire, I realized that it was time for me to make some changes and to see about maybe partnering with somebody else or going into another practice. And so I started that investigation process. And in the end, I ended up deciding that Paulina and I, who we were friends and colleagues, we had worked together at the American Bar Association Forum on Entertainment and Sports Law on the board for years, and we had worked together on a couple of client matters, and we did very well together. And we decided that that partnering up would be a good idea. She had her own private practice in art law and also aligned with what I was doing in entertainment and intellectual property. And so we decided to form a partnership, which was probably one of the best moves I've ever made in my life. This has turned out to be a very successful partnership with a brilliant, ethical, um, and really amiable, easygoing person to work with. So it has turned out to be even better than I could have imagined. So that is our practice. I can tell you a little bit about what got me to this area of practice. If
Sure,
uh,
that'd be great.
uh, so if you knew me at any point in my life, it would not surprise you at all that I was in entertainment related field. Um, I was an actress, I was a dancer, I was a film major, and then I was a lawyer. And I was always defaulting to entertainment related endeavors. I worked in PR for a film company, I worked for a major talent agency, and while I was in law school, I produced music videos. So anytime I started to venture away from entertainment matters, I was always pulled back into it.
Mm.
Um, and while I was very lucky, I went into work with my father straight out of law school. My father had an intellectual property law firm. And when I came out, I told him I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer. And he said, you know, he did not think that entertainment law would be a profitable area of the law. Um, but he said, go ahead, build a practice. And in the meanwhile, I'll feed you with trademark and copyright work.
Hmm.
And so that's what he did. And so I learned very deeply about IP law, and that has helped inform me in my entertainment practice. And I was able to build my practice, thankfully. And now, over 30 years in practice, I now have a very well established reputation in entertainment law, which I'm very grateful for. And I practice law in an area that I love.
That's great. And actually, very interesting that you said that about your background because you are the second person in your particular legal niche that I've talked to who came uh, from a kind of an entertainment content creator, artist background, a little bit different than you. Like you said, actress and dancer. The other one that I've had a conversation with not long ago was more of from the musician side, but
Not a surprise.
still really interesting that you kind of like I've been on both sides of the fence
Yeah.
trajectory led you to that.
It's
Um,
not surprising.
yeah.
My partner is an artist, a visual
Okay.
artist. So she's also, she comes from art. And most of my colleagues that I've had the pleasure of working with are frustrated musicians and artists and actors, and they've all or writers, whatever it is, they had a passion for this area of the world, and they decided that they would be more effective in representing other people's talent. This is not an easy area, to get involved in as a career, right? Like my parents made very clear to me that being an actress was going to be a very tough road and that I might not succeed. And I thought about that very deeply and realized that I like to eat and I
Eating's good.
and I also like to be intellectually challenged. And while acting is intellectually challenging and it does have that element of it, it's different. I'm a law geek, and so in this, when I started to study law, I realized how much of that was important to me, that strategizing and coming up with solutions to problems. I fell into this because I needed to figure out a way to still work within entertainment, but actually be able to make a living, and it has given me all of that plus.
That's great. Um, so this is interesting, this field, because a lot of times people that are creatives, who might be from the entertainment side, they may not be the most, and I'm painting with a broad brush, but may not be the most, business oriented naturally or savvy in terms of things like IP and contracts and things like that. So, what do people who aren't attorneys like yourself maybe not understand that you would want them to understand? What would sort of be your advice for them? Because I think there's a common theme of a lot of people who maybe wait until they're read up to maybe a urgency crisis point before they come to consult someone like you.
Well, and I understand that we are not free, and there is a cost to hiring counsel. So many, many, many people, when they're starting their businesses or their careers, start to think about where to put their funds in a way to protect themselves the best. And most of the time, those funds go to creating the app or doing their due diligence on their on what they're creating, but they don't necessarily think about the legal protections that are necessary for them or the things that might get them become a problem for them down the line. Um, I think clients need to understand that there are certain things lawyers can do and certain things lawyers can't. We can't go outside of our ethical obligations. We have to, we can advise and counsel and give them legal advice, but we can't do things that are impermissible legally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we are always bound by our obligations under the law. What my clients who come to me late have not realized is that there's a real inherent value in hiring counsel to help you strategize how you're starting. The The most successful clients that I have had are clients that have come to me before before they adopt a trademark, before they license or try to make a deal to uh, license their rights to uh, and before they start co-writing that script,
Hmm.
before when they're starting a band that they think about an agreement with the band, like all of these things that people put aside because they think I don't have the money for this right now, and when I'm successful, I'll pay for these things. A lot of times, by not paying attention to those upfront, those matters, and not locking themselves um, in a proper legal structure,
Hmm.
it can cause problems later on that they had not thought of.
Right.
Um, I've had clients that have come in with a copyrighted product, and and they say we this is what we're using, and I'll say, okay, we should register this with the Copyright Office. Oh no, I don't need to do that. Okay, I can give all the advice that I can. It's up to the client to follow it. But the best thing that we are able to do for our clients is help them consider all of the facts around what they're doing and come up with a strategy for their success, whether it's protecting their rights in the underlying works that they're dealing with, making the deals with other parties so those deals are clear and there's no question down the line that will have them arguing in a court. I try to keep my clients in very, very clear agreements so that they don't end up in court,
Hmm.
so that there's not a fight down the line. Um, we can help them protect their brand strategy, both in adopting a brand so that we make sure that they're not adopting a brand that is owned by somebody else or might conflict with somebody else's. And we help them strategize all the different ways that they can leverage their intellectual property as a benefit for their career in the most advantageous and most profitable manner. That's what we do for our clients. And so our clients need to understand, and anyone who is going to be engaging into a new foray into some entertainment or intellectual property matter, that they understand that there are things they don't know. And at the very least, they should consult counsel so they understand what they don't know. And then they can make decisions about where to put their money and what's most advantageous for them. And we help advise our clients. This might not be the best, use of your assets at this point. You might want to use them for this particular item of concern. This helps the client figure out, make a better, put themselves on a better trajectory to success.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. What I'm hearing, like in the short form, is uh, a lot of a lot of your clients maybe underestimate the consultative and strategic side of what you do because they might be operating under the assumption that it's kind of a boilerplate contract. Trademark is a sort of a very cut and dry process, but they're not understanding like all the potential long-term implications of whatever decisions they're making, and that's where you come in.
Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people are relying on AI now to do these things for them, and they think that they'll come to me. I have clients that have come to me with contracts. Here, I put this into AI, and ChatGPT drafted this contract for me. Can you look at it and tell me if it's right? A lot of times, that's not the best way of starting anything with your counsel because most of the time we have contracts that we've massaged and worked with over a long period of time, so we understand that we have a format to use that will be advantageous for our client. When they hand me something that, ChatGPT did, I don't know what they did. I have to now compare those documents with what I do and make sure that that what is being offered there is similar to what I'm offering so that I can protect the client's needs.
Mhm.
That could take longer. I have clients that have signed ChatGPT agreements that they've devised and then come back to me. And when I start looking at it, I go, you're missing clauses here that are essential for your project that ChatGPT doesn't, all of these AI programs are very interesting and are useful in many ways. But if you don't know what you don't know,
Yes.
then you don't know how to write the proper prompts to get the agreement that you need that will protect you.
That's it. You got to provide the full context, right? If somebody doesn't know what that is, that
Then they can't answer the right, what was the saying from years when we started on computers, garbage in, garbage out,
Yes, exactly.
so I try to make sure that my clients know and understand that there's all of the things that they need to understand for what they're doing. That to me is I want knowledgeable clients. I don't um, I don't work in the way some attorneys work where they, give me what you have, I'll take care of it, I'll do it, and then here. I make sure my clients understand exactly what is happening, exactly what the ramifications can be from anything that they do, because there are ramifications from doing anything, right? If you make a decision that you want a particular clause to read a certain way and something is wrong, and that clause says what is the way you wanted it to be, but it misses something, that's a problem. So we want to make sure that I get what Pauline and I both do, and we have discussed this sort of in details how we want to deal with our clients is that we go through with our clients at all of their facts, all of their desires for this project, what it is that they're looking, their ultimate goals are with their business. Is it just this one-off product that they're doing, or this one-off production that they're doing, or is there a plan for later things, later events or plans or items that will come off of this particular plan? So we listen to those things and then help our clients strategize how they're going to move forward. How much do we protect? What do we protect here? What is that going to look like going forward? And when you're entering into a contract, it means what are you agreeing to give to the other side that you might need in the future with the other plans you have for your project? So we work with our clients in a very detailed manner to make sure that we understand completely what it is that they are seeking to do. And then we're better able to advise our client how to handle those matters.
Great. And you had brought up the AI piece, which central theme here on
Yeah.
the podcast. So let me turn over to that thread. And what would you say you're seeing as trends right now, aside from people just going to ChatGPT to try and create contracts, which they shouldn't do? Where are you thinking about it right now? Are you using it, or how are you engaging with that whole part of the conversation, right?
So we've been delving into AI because obviously we're in IP lawyers, so we need to know exactly what's going on. And both Paulina and I have been using AI in different ways to try to understand it and understand where its limitations are and understand what it does. A couple of days ago, I read an article by an AI tech guy named Matt Schuman. It is an article that has flown all over the internet. I'm seeing it cited now in articles that I'm reading. It scared the crap out of me. It scared me because what it talks about is the speed at which AI is learning,
Mhm.
where it is now, and how the expectation is that in 5 years, it will be exponentially ahead of where it is now.
Mhm.
And they don't even think it's going to be 5 years. They're thinking between 1 and 5 years and closer to one. AI is teaching itself.
Mhm.
It's it's starting to build itself. And so the fear then becomes what happens when we're in a situation where Hal is telling Dave, I can't do that, Dave. Yeah, what happens then? Who's in control? And I think as a society, we have to make a decision as to what part of our lives we want run by machines. And I think that there's going to be decisions that have to be made from a societal level of how we are going to rein in AI and make it such that it is a tool rather than a element of destruction,
Hmm. Yes.
right? Where you know, when I was in law school, I produced music videos, right? And you had to shoot everything, right? You had to go and if you wanted a scene of something, you'd shoot it. Now, my clients are not doing that. They're going on AI and they're creating a scene generic just by prompts. And then they're able to take that create AI created visual and put it into their videos, right? I have clients who used to piece together items to make what they would uh, say is uh, like a trailer for a film, right? This is a concept, they would say, of what we expect to see. Now they can create their own concept and by creating uh, characters that are not actors, that are not using the name, image, likeness of famous people, but are made up scenes that they are able to have AI generate to show what their film will look like. That takes a lot of time out of the mix. It makes it a lot faster. It also means a lot of people that used to create these things are no longer creating them and no longer getting paid to create them.
Hmm.
So it's changing the landscape of what we are able to do and who gets paid to do that and whose creativity is used to create that.
Right. Lots of implications for your particular
Um,
field. Yeah.
Probably more, excuse me, more in my field than many fields.
Hmm.
Um, because if you think about, we had uh, strikes last year and the year before. Yeah, right. We had the WGA strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike. Those strikes were in great part about the use of name, image, and likeness of performers, the use of screenplays and writings by writers, because what AI is doing is it's learning, and how it's learning is on existing art. So it is taking the works of other people, feeding in and teaching its large language models on those items, on those works. That is terrifying for creators of artworks. The thought that their prior works and the prior works of others could be used by some not particularly artistic people who are going to take what they did, feed it into something, and generate out something else that the owners of the original works would probably never be able to identify as theirs because it will be modified enough, but it will have been used to create this new work of authorship. Now, the Copyright Office will not give copyright to an AI created work of authorship. That is not that there must be human interaction.
Hmm.
And it has to be enough interaction that what the person has input into that project will then make it qualify for copyright protection. Before AI, started with all of the thoughts about taking in other people's works, there was a case that came with where a camera was set up and the monkey came out and took pictures with that camera and it was attempted to be copywritten, but the copyright office said no, a monkey's not a human
Hmm.
and only humans can create copyrightable works. Well, if that's the case, that only humans can create copyrightable works, then where is the line between what has been created in with using AI and how much human interaction there has been in the creation of that particular piece? And that's going to be a big part of what the future is going to look like for the creation of works. That, what is it mine? Is it someone else's? Did I take enough of it? Did I put in enough of it to make it protectable in my name? those are the questions that are going to come up. And a lot of this is going to have to be handled with legislation.
Hmm.
Um, I am a little concerned about the age of our legislators, representatives. I think are old a lot of the time and are not necessarily, certainly not digital natives. I mean, I'm younger than many of them, and I'm not a digital native. I'm learning, but I know more than they do. When I
Right.
sit and listen to the questions that are, in congressional inquiries, where
Mhm.
they ask questions about use of particular tech, and they are completely befuddled by how it works. They just don't understand it.
Don't understand it at all. Yeah.
We need to understand as a society that we need people in power who understand what the ramifications of the use of these technologies is going to affect down
Mhm.
the line.
Yeah, I mean, this is a far cry from sampling, right?
For
Whenever
sure.
there's a big outcry about, where's the line of sampling somebody else's, clip
And,
from their
and
song or
now think what it
now
could do, right?
I
Now think
spend
what it can do, right? You have a piece of music that you know you want to work into your song, but you know that that piece of music is owned by Bruno Mars, and you don't want to get into a litigation with Bruno Mars. So what do? You feed that piece of music into AI. You say, write me a song that is like this song, but in tone and in pace or in beat or whatever it is. And you can have a sound alike, but that's not a sound alike, right? Where you can have AI modify it enough or take that sample and modify the sample enough that it becomes unidentifiable. And until there's technology that allows us to um, to correctly assess whether or not something is created by AI or created by a human, we're going to be at the mercy of whoever did it. And that can be an issue. We would I think that this is why I say legislation is really important. The Europeans have been doing it ahead of us. They did so with privacy with the GDRP, and they are now investigating how to rein in AI to protect the artists. I mean, our society, all society moves forward on art.
hmm
You think about, the Renaissance, right? And, the creation of works that expand the brain, expand the mind, expand, um, gross society's expectations of human interaction and human behavior. All of those things are crucial. It's crucial to have art involved in all of that. That's how we express. Well, if there are people who are now saying, well, I'd like to express myself, but I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to have a computer help me to do that. That's fine. But at what point does that become not your work or not your work?
hmm
And at what point does it become something that we as a society deem valuable? I would argue that I would much rather have some brilliant writer write a book that makes me think and attacks things from a human perspective rather than AI taking the ideas of many writers, distilling them down and writing something that doesn't come from human emotion, human brain, human creation. It worries me that we are on the precipice of a society where things are created not by us.
Right.
I think AI, the good news on AI is that we can use it as a paintbrush.
hmm
Right? We can use it as a tool to move ahead. I mean, think about film and the use of CGI, right? For years and years and years, we didn't have the ability to create, background stories, background or background places or flying over buildings or all the things that are special effects until the development of the use of computers in creating these graphics. It's the same kind of thing, right? We now have a new tool to be able to put what we imagine on the screen or into a new tool to help us research things, to put things down on paper. We have those uh, that now new tool, that that new instrument, but we need to make sure that we're not stepping on other people's rights,
Hmm.
and that we are not distilling down artistry into some banal, base, simple thing that appears to be art, but doesn't get the same reaction that real art does. And
Right.
real art, to me, is
The
art created
simulacrum,
by people.
the simulacrum of art, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what, so, you touched, which is a massive topic, right? That's been going on for conversations going on for years now about sort of the broader cultural, societal implications of this
Yeah.
technology and the exponential, growth. I mean, recently, um, just within the last couple of weeks, there was a panel, Elon Musk, Peter Diamandis, some others that are, top of this conversation in terms of understanding, sort of saying like we're already in the singularity. But so there's that part and the sort of overarching guardrails. And then you touched on the implications specifically in IP. But as a tool, on the flip side, what would you say you're maybe excited about or thinking could be transformative within the legal field?
Well, we're already seeing what it's doing to the legal field. Every one of our search companies like Lexis, Westlaw, whatever, they all have AI built now into those systems. And I can tell you, I just came back. I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in early January with my partner. We were exploring what is out in the world and what's coming. And what we saw in our walking around floor after floor after floor, we noticed that every single product, every single thing had AI built into it.
Hmm.
Everything. I was there in 2018, and in 2018, there was no AI built into anything except maybe some of the Amazon stuff, like were starting with it. But it wasn't like you'd go and you'd see a product that was, that somebody was selling. Here was a perfect example of one of them. There were fingernail polish things that like you could, they glued onto your fingers, and then you'd stick your finger into a machine and it would change the color of your nails by just pressing a button. You could change the colors of your nail of these fake nails that glued on could change color. And they used AI in development of that product, and they used AI in determining what colors you want, or you want a red, it'll give you a range, and then it'll tell it's amazing what they're able to do, but it's all built into all of it. So we have to understand that it's here and it's not going anywhere. We're going to have this is a very exciting technology if you are willing to learn about it and understand how it works. I just think that there need to be some guardrails on it to make sure that it's not being used in a way that's detrimental to society. And right, so I don't think there's anything wrong with using, an AI program to help do an outline for something or to help you figure out how you might want to attack a particular problem. There are all kinds of ways that we know it works now. We know that AI can build its own app.
Hmm.
If you want an app, right? It used to be if we wanted to build an app, we would have to go to an app development company, hire them, pay them a significant amount of money, tell them what we wanted the app to do, and then wait for them to develop that app, bring it back to us, check it, troubleshoot it, make sure it works, and make sure it does everything that we thought it would do. And now you can go into AI, and if you know the proper prompts and know what to ask, you can direct an AI bot to build the app that used to cost X dollars with an app development company. So
Hmm.
what does that mean? Well, it means that the app development company is no longer making that money, right? So it's going to shift significantly what our businesses look like, what where our businesses are offering, what companies that have AI are offering to its customers that has never been offered before. So it's exciting because there are possibilities. Um, for me, it's a little annoying because I've had a couple of friends send me songs that they wrote with the Sona app, I think it's called the songwriting app. And one of them sent me a song and said, "Hey, I wrote this. I was wondering what you thought about it." And I saw where it came from because it's on, it comes through the app. And I looked at it, I wrote back to him and I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to review this." And he was shocked. He was like, "Why? Isn't this what you do?" I'm like, "Yes, for songwriters. You're
Hmm.
not a songwriter. You never were a songwriter. You had some ideas and you fed it to a chatbot and it gave you a song. But I don't care about that. And I'm not interested in representing previously untalented, impossible, people who it would find it impossible to write a song. Now all of a sudden can write a song, but it's not really they're not really writing the song.
Hmm.
You know, I have a I represent a lot of songwriters. I have a great deal of respect for what they do because I know I can't do it.
Right. Yes.
I live vicariously through my incredibly talented clients. And I love what they create because it allows me to see the world a little bit differently because of what they've created. And I don't want to see the world through what AI creates. I want to see the world through what humans create.
Hmm.
So I don't like it as a lazy man's way to make art. What I want it to be is an artist's way to better their art, right? I want artists to be able to use this as a tool to create things that will help them be more successful, but not as a replacement for their creativity, as an enhancement.
Yes. Yeah. I have a prediction personally that I think there's going to be a reaction where as these tools become more pervasive for doing things like that, where they're not just uh, they're used to create the product without any real artistic input from the human, like you're saying, like in other words, instead of just being part of a process, but the human dominates, that they'll just be spitting out something that they just did some brief prompts. I
Right.
think there's going to be a pushback on that where the authenticity element, the human element gets elevated, and
Mhm. I
that
hope
will,
so.
yeah, I think so. I think that's the way these things kind of go. But at the same time, I'm interested that from a perspective of utility within the legal field, what would you say if you were to go 5 years out? What do you think will still look exactly the same within your field, or what, based on all the emerging technology, might look completely different?
I think everything's going to look different.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think that we're going to, I mean, I think people singing in a bar is going to look the same. I think bands performing live performances are going to be the same as far as they're being able to perform, but I do think that AI will change what the backgrounds look like, right? You'll be able to perform at the Sphere and put video graphics behind you that will be created um, using AI, which is done. Unreal Engine does this now. They have made creating film take half the time and half the money
Right.
because they've been able to incorporate AI into their processes and into how they create. And so it will be, um, it will look different. Everything, I think it will still incorporate human interaction and human creativity, but I think it's going to do it in a much different way. I'm not really, I'm hoping that we will, as the time goes on, come to common consensus that it is better for society that AI is used as a tool to advance us and not as a cudgel that will destroy us.
Sure.
Um,
How
you
about
know,
specifically in the legal domain?
in
What do you?
the legal domain, it's going to affect my practice certainly. I have already seen that my interns, we have interns every semester.
Mhm.
I give them work to do, right? I give them the idea for the internship is for them to learn about different areas of law that they haven't had an opportunity to experience. So I'll give my intern something, say, research this and tell me what I should be looking at for this particular matter. They will go into AI right off the bat. They do it now automatically. And what they generate back for me is usually pretty decent. They're not, these are smart interns and they understand that they have to modify things and so on. But I know when something is written by AI, it until right now, AI writing is not where it mimics humans, but it is not that, it's not that hideable, right? I got a letter recently. I'm negotiating a contract, and I wrote to the other side and said, "Here are the things that we need, to understand what it is that's going on." And the email that I got back it wasn't from their lawyer, it was from the company head. I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, you've got to be kidding." Like four adjectives in a row about what they're going to do. Like, that is not, don't ask me questions that sound flowery.
Right.
Just ask me a question, right? Or just answer my question without adding modifiers that mean nothing,
Right.
right?
Right.
I actually said to my client when he was cracking up because I said, he goes, I saw that email. I'm not really sure what it is that that they're responding to and what you asked. I said, because they didn't respond. I said, I hate responding to AI letters. And he started to laugh and he goes, that's what I thought. That's not helpful,
Yeah.
but it's going to happen more and more. And the more AI can mimic humans, the more it will happen this way. And the more people will look to AI to solve their legal problems. They will believe that AI is giving them the correct answer,
Mhm.
and they will rely upon it like they rely upon our opinions.
Right. Well, this is a kind of a common theme that's come up on the podcast. Um, but there's layers to it. So when it comes to, I think what we hear over and over again is that the level of human nuance and discretion and discernment and strategy, like the creative side that you bring to the table, that's not going anywhere anytime soon where the AI can overtake that. But to your point, if people are just going to AI, to a public LLM, even if they're on the paid version of ChatGPT or something, and thinking I can just spit in a couple of prompts without any deep contextual modification or conditions being set, right? Then that's where you get into a lot of trouble because you still need the attorney to be able to review that. You still need the attorney to be able to offer the experience and the human element of having done this. On the
Also,
other
the
side,
strategy, because they're all,
that's what
it's,
I was saying. Like the strategic consultative piece,
yeah,
right? The AI isn't going to have that context.
no.
Um, but on the other hand, there's ways to make this so much more robust, and this is where people go wrong. It's the same thing where you hear about the court cases where literally there have been cases where maybe overworked attorneys have just submitted documents they've created by going to ChatGPT, and there's hallucinations, right? Because they maybe didn't understand that you need to be able to train these things. So when you talk about like you can tell when something's written by AI, that's because it's been again just spit into a large language model, which is pulling publicly from the internet. You haven't actually done the deep work of actually training it on, say, an individual's like tons of their own work and style. And in that case, it can be really interesting because then you get people who, when you really know how to create those agents skillfully, then you get where it's like, oh, that actually responded exactly like you, and I had no idea that it wasn't you.
Right.
So
Well, that's what
that's
they're
one
trying
thing.
to get to. And honestly, it's going to get here faster than you think. When you say,
It's already, it's
well,
already.
yeah, I mean, when you say things like, creativity is not really going anywhere, yeah, it's not. People are still going to be creative because people are creative, but it will interfere in how in the final products or how the final products are achieved. As you can't even imagine how many times I've had consultations with clients where I will say, "Oh, so you're looking to do this. Well, have you thought about this?"
Hmm. Yep.
AI doesn't do that yet,
Can't. Yeah.
right? It doesn't think of the alternatives necessarily. It just thinks if you say, "I want to create this," it will tell you what it thinks about how to create this, but not necessarily the warnings. And then you'd have to ask,
Hmm.
what do I have to be, clear about it? What do I have to know about? So you have to know what the questions are to ask.
Hmm.
Lawyers know or should know what questions to ask when they're advising clients in particular areas. When we guide our clients, we look holistically at everything that they do. Right? We look at their, what are they doing? What are their goals? What does their brand look like? What are their what do they ultimately want to use it for? What are their growth? What's the growth potential? What are they looking to do in the future? What is their 5-year plan? What is their 10-year plan? We take all of that into consideration to come up with the right strategy for protecting their marks and their works and enforcing their rights. All of that is will it eventually be able to be taken over by AI? Maybe. But I don't, I don't think that's wise. I think that
Yeah.
there's a human element to reading the room,
Hmm. Absolutely.
right? And until AI can do that, you know, we're we're still necessary.
Yeah.
But it does concern me that it seems that the idea is to get rid of anything that is done by humans and to be taken over by machines should be able to, handle all of this and I don't see that as making life better. And that's, by the way, that article by Max Schumann was about.
Hmm.
It was about what happens to the economy, what happens to people's employment, what makes you be able to live through this and not lose your jobs and not lose your ability to keep your family, taken care of. How are we going to do these things if we've removed all human interaction from this stuff and only machines are doing it? Then we have to start coming up with a whole new uh, work structure for people.
Hmm.
And as an attorney who studied for a long time and has worked for decades in this practice, I don't, you know, fancy the idea of a machine coming in and saying I could do that just as good as she can.
Right.
That I don't know that they can do it as well as I can. I certainly don't want them to be able, the machines to be able to do
Right.
it as well as I can.
Yeah.
Right now,
So,
I'm still okay, but that is a risk.
right. I still think we're in the spot that Diamandis, I believe, was the one. It's been attributed to multiple people, but I believe he was the one that said, AI isn't going to replace you, but if you go out into the very near future, people that, uh, or rather, AI won't replace you, but in the very near future, someone who's using AI will replace you if you aren't using it, right? So
And
that's
that's what
more.
the article said. It said everybody should be spending an hour to an hour and a half every single day learning how AI works,
Mhm.
using it in not just to write letters to people, not just, not for stupid stuff,
Yep.
but to use it in a way for you in your career that will be helpful to you. And so that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to learn AI in a way that will make us more productive, um, make our clients, my aim is not to bill my client for as much time as I possibly can. My
Mhm.
aim is to be able to work for as many clients as possible, right? Do it the most efficient manner possible so that my clients are not bankrupted doing legal work,
Mhm.
right? It may make us more accessible to clients
It
because we're
absolutely,
able to
absolutely.
do it faster.
When it comes to efficiency, that's really what we're seeing right now. Is it's just absolutely phenomenal for that. And
Yeah. And
it,
I've used it. Been playing with it for a while now, and I've used it for contracts where I've taken a contract. First of all, just let me put a big bulletin razor thing here. Like, you should know that this is coming. There was just a case in Southern District, New York, where a person went on ChatGPT, on public chat or public Claude, I think it was, and used the site to help him strategize his criminal defense.
Mhm.
He was arrested, he was having a criminal case, and he went on and jotted down his thoughts, whatever what he thought might happen. He asked AI to help him with it, and then he sent that document to his counsel to look at and to work off of. The adversaries, demanded that that original document that he worked on be produced. And the lawyers came in for the gentleman and said, "Look, this was our work product, attorney client work product that we are doing together in his defense." And Judge Rakoff, who is one of the most esteemed and brilliant judges that I certainly a judge that I have been before and found absolutely more than competent, he said, "Look, nope, you don't, you didn't do that. A machine did it on a public source.
Mhm.
What you fed in is now available to everyone, and it is no longer protected.
Mhm.
So it's not attorney-client work product, and it needs to be produced."
Yeah.
And that is what people do not realize. Now, if you're going to use these systems for uh, confidential information, you have to do it in a paid um, system that where you are locked down, where no one, where it's the only people who can get access to your materials are you and your admins within that system. So, for example, we use Google Workspace as we have a Google Workspace account in an enterprise system, and we use Gemini Pro,
Mhm.
which is not available. What we put in is not available to anybody else's Gemini. It's not used to teach. It's not used to teach the model. It's what we're allowed to use inside. I know that a lot of law firms use a program called Harvey.
Mhm.
Harvey is a law firm AI program that is locked into that law firm's materials. So
Mhm.
it's only that they're using. They can't go on and
Closed
they
system. Right.
nobody else can go out and access what they're putting in.
Mhm.
It's within that just that one universe.
Mhm.
And that makes more sense if you're going to be plugging things in. So when I started with ChatGPT just to play with it before Gemini came out, I mean, we've been doing this for a while, I knew to take out all of the names out of the contracts, all of the identifying features out so that I could run it just to see what AI was saying about the contracts. I can tell you that between a year ago and now, it's finding a lot more stuff. The initial review of contracts was really abysmal.
Mhm.
I would get it and it hallucinated, or it would tell me that things were certain ways, and the the law is blah 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 blah, and I'd look at it and go, yeah, that's not right. And I knew, I mean, I was using it sort of just to gauge how it worked, but now it's much more adept at pulling the right information.
Mhm.
Does it do it all the time? No, which is why it needs a human being to assess it as you're going through it. Now, I've used it to make review of contracts faster for my clients because I can use it, flag it, it will flag, and then I go through the contract using that as a guide to make sure that I'm hitting all my points, but hitting them more quickly. So it's useful, but it doesn't right now it doesn't replace us. And I hope that it never does because, there are lots of students coming out of law school. My son is planning on going to law school. Like I am hoping that there is still a career for lawyers.
Yes, I think there will be. I'll turn to just ask you a couple questions specifically about your practice.
Sure.
So, in terms of growth, so you said 2 years since you went into this new partnership, and
Yes.
it's been doing really well. So, what stage of growth would you say that you're in right now, and where are you looking to get to in the next 12 months or so?
I think what we'd like to be able to do is to hire more associates. I think we'd like to have more people working with us.
Hmm.
Um, we are a we have a pretty deep bench right now between myself and Paulina and another colleague, Armando Lorenz, uh, who's counsel to our firm, who works on our corporate matters and our employment matters and a lot of our litigation with us. Um, we also have part-time associates that are working with us, several of them.
Hmm.
I'd like to have them move into a full-time capacity. So I'm hoping that becomes, as they get more experience, we're able to utilize them more and bring them in further into the business. Um, we're taking on bigger projects, um, more advanced projects, which we both are loving, and especially with the technology, we have clients that are doing really, really interesting and cool things. So I'd like that to be more of what we get to do. Is
Hmm.
both of us would litigate and protect our clients' rights, but the thing we like to do the best is build things,
Right.
right? Is to make sure that we're create our clients are able to create, that they're free to do that and they have to worry less about fighting than they do about creating. So
Yeah.
that's where we would like to be within the next 12 months. We'd like to bring in more clients. We'd obviously, I think that's the goal of most law firms, right? Is
Do you have
to increase,
a particular growth target?
um, meaning a particular growth target, as in uh,
Like
how
increase
many
the
people.
business by X% or something like that?
Oh, I think we have each year we're trying to grow by at least 20%.
Gotcha.
That I think that's and we've been managing it
Hmm.
for the last 2 years. So we're on a good trajectory, but
Fantastic.
the more people we have working with us, more associates, more interns, more people that we have generating, the better it is and the easier it is for us to grow. So, but we're very, very choosy. And we are very lucky because we've had some really, really great talent
Right.
around us. But that's part of the challenge, right? Is finding the best possible people to be able to do the work.
Right. Not only skill, but culture too, right? You got to make sure you
Oh,
have,
for sure.
like you
We're,
mentioned, your partner, you've got such a great rapport. So you want to make sure that that is,
no question,
yeah, that,
no question. My father and I, when we went into practice, made a determination early on, which was that family and personal time were important.
mhm,
That we wanted life to be, that life was just as important as work. That we
yes,
had to have a good work-life balance. That, your children, if you have them, come first.
right.
Your health comes first. The things that make for a richer life are available so you're not working yourself into the ground. And
Mhm.
Paulina and I consider, because of what we do, right? We're in an area of law which is surrounded by, art and creation and joy, and we want to feel those things. We don't want to be beaten down, and we don't want our employees to be beaten down by the that work
Mhm.
thing,
Right.
right? We want the culture of our firm to be one of creation and cooperation and kindness.
Hmm.
I mean, we understand that life happens and that people are that human beings are human beings and they have other things that come first sometimes. Um, as long as as we're all working for the same goal, which is to give our clients the best possible representation, make sure that we're on top of everything, all the rest of it falls into place.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Right.
that's what we're looking for. That 20% every year, year over year, will give us the right growth that we need while being also being manageable
Mhm.
and will allow us to be able to give to our clients what we need while also being able to make sure that we're able to give those things. You know, you have to be fulfilled and happy and confident in order to be able to help your clients also meet those obligations.
Well said. And then finally, I like to always ask uh, my magic wand question, which is, so you've got lot of great growth going on, um, doing what you love. Is if there was one thing that you could wave a magic wand and fix in the business, some sort of challenge or constraint, what would that be?
Magic wand. Um, I think generally, I think there needs to be an understanding across the board, whether it's business or art, that legal advice is important and is valuable. And it, I would like there to be an understanding that the cost of acquiring legal assistance is not a waste of money, that
Hmm.
it is essential, that it will make your business better, that it will make your art better if you have really good, knowledgeable counsel who can help guide you. It will be beneficial to you from a monetary sense, that it will not be a loss. I think there is, I talk to, because of the area of law that we're in, I talk to people who have financial struggles, right? Artists have a tough time.
Right.
So we do the best that we can for our clients, but our clients all, the great majority of our clients understand the value of what we do. They do. That's why they come to us. But I'd like artists generally to understand the value of what attorneys do.
Hmm.
That my magic wand would say that if you're going to, that you will understand as an art, as a creator, that you can be helped,
Hmm.
that the value of this is going to be worth its weight in gold. That, not to be penny wise and pound foolish, right? Not to say, I got this, I can handle it with ChatGPT, without thinking that, yeah, if you spend a little bit more money, you're going to get really much, much, much more valuable advice than you're going to get off your computer.
Yeah.
And that's the magic wand that I would like to wave over everyone as they're going through all of this, is to understand that we can't replace human beings.
Hmm.
That you can get really good advice. It's going to be advice that you're not going to get elsewhere if you go to the right people and you can manage to afford that service.
Fantastic. Stephanie, how can people reach you? What's the best way to reach you if they want to find out more about your firm and services?
Well, www.adwarivko, ADWARIVKO.com is our website. You can learn about all our people and what we do and how our practice works and what areas of practice we handle. You can always call our offices. The phone numbers are on the website. You can reach me at 212-725-1818. And let us, ask questions, reach out. We're more than happy to talk to people to get an idea of whether we're right for you or not, whether you need us or not. There are plenty of people who've called who say, I don't know if I need you yet.
Right.
We're here. Contact us, find out whether we can help you. We will let you know whether we can or we can't. If we can't, we may be able to send you to somebody who can. I mean, that's what we do. We like to put our clients together with people who will be helpful to them. And if we're not the people that can be helpful, we are more than happy to send people who inquire to the parties who can.
Excellent. Thank you so much for today. Lots of great insight and food for thought. So I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Take care.